They make us all smile, even if he's failing in every game style. Game on you, you're a gaming catastrophe. We love you for the laughs and the hilarity. You may not win, but you always bring the cheer. So grab your controller, let's play, my dear. UB's controllers covered in dust and grime. He's been gaming since back in '89. Our gaming grandpa with wisdom to share. But now he's lost in pixels with his flowing locks of hair. Through the highs and the lows, UB's always there. With a smile on his face and his wild untamed hair. From the retro classics to the games that are new, he's the heart of our gaming crew. Cream on you, you're a gaming catastrophe. But we love you for the laughs and the hilarity. You may not win, but you always bring the cheer. So grab your controller, let's play, my dear. Oh yeah, gaming catastrophe. When it comes to skill, he's got none. Gaming catastrophe, heart of our gaming crew. Gaming catastrophe. When it comes to skill, he's got none. Gaming catastrophe, heart of our gaming crew.
Ubi's up, he's ready to play. With his headset on, he's in the zone. But every move, every shot he takes, he can't catch a break, it's like a cyclone. He jumps on him, tries to secure the lead, but he keeps getting stuck and respawn. His aim is off, his strategy's weak. Ubi's feeling defeated, it's all gone wrong. That didn't work, no, not again. Ubi's gotta find another way to win. He'll keep on fighting, he won't give up. That's how he rolls, he's a champion now.
The following film is presented in its complete theatrical version. It was rated R by the MPAA and may not be appropriate for children under 17. It is rated TV MA-LSV and contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay.
I like steak.
That's me, your boy Ubi. My microphone working? Yes, it looks like the microphone's working. Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday night. It is time for another Tech Talk Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk about where I go to find my VST plugins and things that might actually help you in doing so. Let me bring my screen share up. Oops. Okay. Sorry. That's another thumbnail I'm working on. Ignore that one. If only I looked that epic. That is, gotta say that's amazing. Okay. So looking at where I go for my plugins. Now, there's a couple of plugin makers that have their own plugin installer environments that are really, really good. That I go to that have a lot of good free plugins in them, and also you're in their environment already, so if they have a paid plugin that you'd like, you can also use it to download. The first one I use is Melda Productions, and I'm going to drop links for these in the chat as I do. Excuse me. Apparently I'm a little bit on the gassy side tonight. So, Melda Production has a really good, massive group of free plugins. And I especially like the M Delay plugin and the M Compressor plugins. So they're both really good, but they have a lot of really good free plugins. So it's a good place to start. So all you have to do for them, they have their own installer. You download that installer, you run it, and then inside of there, you can tell it show you only the free ones or show you everything and those sort of things. Click on the ones you want, hit a button, it'll install them to all the places they need to be automatically. Assuming that your DAW and everything is all set up like it should be, they will just show up when the next time your DAW searches. So it's a very good ecosystem for picking up plugins. Again, some of these places are going to sound like maybe I'm shilling for them or I'm sponsored for them. There's no sponsored content in this video. These are just the ones that I find the easiest and best to use. So that's one of them. No problems, Timothy. So Melda is one of them. Another one that is very similar to Melda is Kilohertz. Very similar in that they have an installer and their own ecosystem as well. They have a bunch of free ones. I use most of my actual effects, my reverb, my delay, my chorus, my flanger are all Kilohertz because they're small, they're tiny, and they do exactly what you need them to do. In my opinion, they may have slightly less knobs and buttons than some of the others of their types are, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And those are the ones that I use in the JRig because, again, they're lighter on CPU. and they're a little more simple to set up. Another place that I pull from, and Keith will attest to, are really good, are Tokyo Dawn Labs, and they have two specific plugins that are free that I use constantly. One is TDR Nova, which is a very good, not just an EQ, but it's a dynamic EQ. The second one is Koplinganov, which is a very, very good plugin to use for mastering because it does multiple things. It does your compressor. It literally does everything that you'd want to put at the end of a chain. So those are two really good ones that are free from Tokyo Dawn. So those are my three go-to places when I need a particular VST, especially a free one. Another thing that you might want to know, I've recently moved over to NAMM, Neural Amp Modeler, and the best place to find NAMM models is to go to Tone 3000, which it used to be, I think it used to be called Tone Exchange or something like that. But now it's Tone 3000 is the site, and it's got the best search, and literally every NAMM model I've ever wanted to find, I found from there. They also have a lot of good free IRs as well. Free IRs are one of those things that's a little more difficult to find. So, personally, I tend to stick with the ones that I've gotten from Glenn Fricker, but they do have some good ones in here. They've got a pretty good IR that does a good job of recreating the sound of like Dimebag Darrell's sound from like Vulgar Display of Power and those sort of things. So lots of good stuff to discover in this one as well. Now, let's say that you're still looking and you don't know, you have a like a niche plugin or niche effect you're trying to find. There are two decent sites out there for searches, and if those fail, then I will go to the search engine. So the first one is KVR Audio, which will drop a link for that one in there as well. So they've got a large database that you can search through, and most importantly, one of the things I like the most is you can scroll down here, and they have the ability to tell it just the free ones. So you won't find a one and realize, oh darn it, that's going to cost me money, I can't have it. So that's another big deal for me as far as when searching. The second place is Plugins for Free. It's a kind of a plugins listing site. And that can break down into, they have a lot of instruments, and they also have a lot of effects that you can go in through here. So it's pretty good. It allows you to search by categories and those sort of things. So those are my main go-tos as far as plugins are concerned. If I still don't have a plugin that I particularly need, I will do a search. I don't actually search myself anymore. I know this is going to be one of those, ooh, Ubi, you can't do that. But I actually use AI to do my searches for me, at least my initial searches, simply because I can give it a much more human description of what I'm looking for, hit the button and go do something else and let it do a bunch of searching and come back with a lot of results for me to go through. And then I can just go look at the like 3 or 4 individual links as opposed to doing a search, going through sites individually by hand. That's just one of those things that I hate doing just because of the amount of time it takes for me. But you definitely are welcome to fire up DuckDuckGo or Google or anything about that. So thanks, Timothy. So today's video, or today's live stream is a shorter live stream. It's a 30-minute stream. And we're talking about digital audio chains and the like. So basically what usually happens, what I'm trying to do is break down all the concepts of how to run your guitar through a digital audio chain the way that I do for people. And in small chunks to make it where it's a little easier to understand, and also so you can go back to individual episodes and find particular things that you're looking for. And then usually what we do is we go through a particular topic. Like today, the topic is actually a pretty short one, to be honest, because this is just my, this is where I usually find my software that I'm looking for. because again, I focus mainly on free because that's the whole point of the Embrace the Suck channel is, you know, producing and creating where you are. And sometimes the where you are is just that you don't have a ton of money. And so free stuff is good stuff. So yeah, those are my general selections. The for what my go-to if I have a particular need for some sort of a plug-in, that's kind of the chain I would go to. So since we only killed about 7 minutes, let's open this up. Does anybody have any questions, either about plugins, where to find them, how to find them, or just anything else on digital guitar chains? The floor is open to all of you. That's actually one of the things that we do at the end of my streams, Timothy, is I let everyone chill. Tell everybody what you got going on, sort of things. But we'll do some Q&A first, and then we'll do a big old round of chilling. But it's important to have other people be on your guitar journey and to be on other people's guitar journeys with them. It's just one of those big things that really makes a big difference. So yeah, David. So the plugins themselves, the VSTs, you will need either a DAW or a VST container to use those. NAMM itself is actually a plugin, so it also will need to be inserted into a DAW or a container. That is actually a very good question. I thought you were going to start a bass journey, Brian. Or did you go ahead and take up that offer I showed you of a cheap electric drum kit? I thought you were going to start becoming a drummer. We'll have your drum journey. That's about all I can do. 2 yards. I mean, it's I'm to be honest, digital audio chains is kind of the perfect mesh of my worlds, because I've always been an IT guy, and I've always been an entertainer type guy. So obviously, since I love guitars, digital audio is huge for me. Hey, Jeremy, good to see you. So, you know, there's a lot of overlap in the skills for. I mean, I was in radio for 2.5 decades, so there's a lot of digital audio editing and a lot of digital audio chain work, preamps and EQ and all those sort of things for making sure that sounds sound good, compression and those sort of things as sounds go out to the transmitter and those sort of things. So that carried over quite well whenever I started doing recording, and not having a ton of amplifiers, not having space for it, not having money for it, those sort of things, not having effects and those sort of deals. In order to get a good tone, digital was the way I was going to go. So I spent a lot of time learning these sort of things, and now I'm here to teach you. I paid a lot of money for this voice, Jeremy. I went into a school specifically for radio, and it took me forever to pay that off. So I did everything ops related that you can have. Everything from being a lowly little board op part-timer, all the way up from being an on-air talent to being production director, traffic director. And when somebody in radio says traffic, they don't mean there's a wreck on I-5. What they mean is placing commercials in stop sets. I've been a ops director. I have been operations manager. Like I said, I've run the entire gambit from on the operations side. Never been in on the sales side, but I've done everything in radio on the operations side, up to and including studio engineering as well, running cables and soldering patches and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, see, Chris, I was always also said that I had the face for radio. So I actually, it's funny because when I worked at, I worked for a long time at a Jack in the Box up to management in it. But when I'd work the drive-through, people were like, "You should be on radio." I'd like to be. I'm going to school for it. It was actually funny because I didn't take my final at all at my school for radio, but I was given 100% credit for it because the reason why I didn't take my final is I had actually already left the state and was working at my very first radio gig at the time. So before I even finished school, I was already hired and on air. So needless to say, they figured, yeah, you clearly get the concept. Hey, Sparky, it's good to see you. Any other questions about digital audio? Chris's question is less about digital audio, more about actual building a sound. So Keith actually had a suggestion for it. What I would do, Chris, would be I would do a search to see if anybody has got a breakdown for the rig that Jimmy used, and then find the corresponding components. So as he said, a Marshall stack. So it sounds like he probably was using a JCM 800, most likely. Probably a hot righted ACM 800 or JCM 800. And then probably a 4x12 cabinet. Most likely with vintage 30s for the cabinet itself. So that's the IR you'd be looking for. I'll bet he ran that setup with very low gain, and I would probably guess that he probably has a fuzz before it to be used both as a boost into the before the amp, as well as flavoring it with the fuzz, if I had to guess. So this is the exact place to learn it, Timothy. My very first, there's a playlist of these particular live streams, and the very first one was basically the intro and the basics to what is a digital interface, for example, and those sort of things. And each different one of these weekly shows has been about a topic building upon how to learn to do digital audio. Really, the easiest breakdown of it is you start with an interface because you need to get your guitar into the digital realm. So you'd want something like a Focusrite Scarlett or any other interface is probably going to work well. I'm going to be honest. You can use one of these, a Pocket Master, for a interface. These things actually work as an interface. So all you got to do is get one of those, plug your guitar in, set it up with your computer, and at that point you've got the hardest part done, which is getting your guitar into your computer. Question, what exactly does an IR versus just a plug-in or amp model? Okay, so an IR is an impulse response, and what an IR is specifically, it's a capture of the speaker, the output, the physical sound output of a cabinet or a speaker. So what an IR really does is it takes the place, if you were looking at digital audio as if it was the equivalent in analog, NAM or any of the other ones like THU or Amplitube, those usually would be your amp, the actual amp head, usually. Now, they also have cab simulators in them, but they are kind of the amp heads. You can actually get plugins that are just amps, just amp heads as well. They don't do any, they do nothing as far as what the cabinet would do, but they just do the amp heads. So The IR, when it's loaded into a either a dedicated plugin for IRs or a plugin that uses IRs, is the simulation for the cabinet itself, for the physical speakers, and that's actually where a lot of the tone really gets shaped. So IRs are one of the most, if not the most important for your digital analog chain, especially if you're going to want to make it not sound really sterile, give it that warm kind of a living feel that an analog setup would have. You want a good IR capture because the IR capture takes into account the microphones, the physical location of those mics, the actual speakers themselves, and those sort of things, so that it does a lot as far as shaping that tone to sound really as if it was being pushed out from a cabinet. So that's actually what an IR does. Hey, Brant, good to see you. Great question, though. I really like, I love questions like that. Anybody else? Digital audio questions, digital chains, or at this point, we'll open it up. Any other questions just for Ubi? It's just an open question and answer point at this point. Got about 5 minutes before we'll all head over to Ted's live. I've already talked to him at least once on the phone today, so maybe tonight's live will work without a hitch. Speaking of Ted, I have received the laptop for his J-Rig, so I've got all the physical components in here. We will be doing the build this week. We're going to try to get it out to him. I don't know if I'll get it in time for his next Tuesday stream, but at some point in time, he will get it. Usually 2 to 3 weeks. It really depends on whether you've got a shot, a pill, or a cream, Brian. Can you set latency manually in BandLab? No. BandLab is one of those black box styles. It's kind of a you get what you get type situation, which is a lot of the Mac software is that way. Yes, I would very much appreciate it if everybody would hit like for me. One of the big downsides with digital audio on a Mac, it's the Mac's strongest suit for digital audio is that it's real easy to set up. But the reason it's easy to set up is most of the settings are either buried where you cannot get to them to change them, or to find them is next to impossible. Searching for Tone's channel is searching for Tone. Oh, Brian beat me to it. I was trying to get it loaded so I could paste it for you. Brian does a lot of great gear reviews, and it's really aimed for the common man. Hey, Poe. Good to see you. See, Sparky, that's the thing. You think you might never use it, but you never know. All it really takes to get into the digital realm, like I said, is something. It's like seriously, what the Pocket Master is, what, $60, $70 at that. The Focusrite Solo here is $110 last time I checked. They're not super duper expensive. There's even cheaper ones out there, like the Fifine that I was using before this. I think it's like $50. It's not super expensive. Basically, all you need to do is be able to get your signal into your computer. Once you've done that, I mean, you have a ridiculous amount of free software for making stuff sound good. I mean, I'll be completely honest, Keith, when I started, and it's sitting in my front room, a $10 cable that was designed to work with the Rocksmith game. It was super noisy in that it keeps, it pulls a lot of RF interference on it, but you just need to get your sound into the computer. From there, you can clean up RF, you can clean up tone, you can do a lot of shaping to make things sound better than they are. It's a lot more work if you've got something that's not super. I mean, Chris, the big deal is as long as it's converting it in from analog to digital, it works. And if you can get near real-time latency off of it, even better. But even if you don't, at the very least, you can use it for recording. For the longest time, I couldn't get real-time latency. So what I would have to do is I would play, and then I would do playback in my ears, but I couldn't hear myself playing. I would just play along with it and record it, and then go back and listen to the recording. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's still very doable. All right, we got about 3 minutes before I want to get out of here, so let's do some shilling. Anybody got channels? Throw channel links in there. Anybody have anything else? Problem with the Squire Jaguar CV, the pickups are very microphonic, and you distorts and pedals. It makes a lot of noise and feedback. I tried to put the pickups lower. Do I have a recommendation? So it depends on how you're set up, Poe. The best solution is a very physical one, which would be wax dipping your pots, which will get rid of the microphonic. If you don't have that ability, or you don't want to go that route, your next step is going to be noise reduction. If you're on analog, there are some noise reduction circuits that you can add in that are plug-in or pedals and the like. If you're on digital, there is a great noise reduction plug-in from Terranov. It's called noise reduction, and it will get rid of a lot of extraneous noise. It's not going to help a lot with microphonic pickups, but it will knock some of that noise down off of it. Yep, go check out Jeremy from Strings and Pucks. Go check out GMG's content as well. Awesome. Yeah, see, that's the problem that you're going to run into, Poe, is the more you reduce noise, the more you're also going to grab guitar noise. It's a fight to get it perfectly aligned. Do I have pickup recommendations? Sure, it depends on what kind of price range you're looking for. If you're looking for budget and want to stay cheap, getting some of the knockoffs off of Music Lily is a good way to go. If you have the money, going with a good name brand, like it really, and again, it's going to depend on what kind of music you're looking for and what size pickup. But like if you're looking for humbuckers, like a good solid Seymour Duncan could be good. Like a Black Winter, for example, is a really good humbucker. If you're looking for single coils, there are people in the chat who can give you some great recommendations for that. I am a Game Monster guy, so I'm more of a humbucker guy. Absolutely. All right, folks, link is at the top for Ted's Live. He should be going on here in about 5 minutes. We're going to wrap it up here tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. And if you have any more questions, theubi@gmail.com. I would be happy to answer them for you. And otherwise, appreciate each and every one of you being here today. We'll do a quick shout out to our Patreon members. There's the Patreon link down in the description. Shout out to our VIP anonymous supporter in the VIP section. Front row Rob F, General Mission Brian, Keith, and Steve. Out in the parking lot, Sean Brandt, Ted, and John Dotson. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will see you over in Ted's Live. And y'all have a good one.